Mechanical keyboard switches really do have a lot of variety these days. This one, for example, is a Gateron white switch, and it's one of the lightest switches you'll ever find. Then we've got this guy. This is known as a penguin switch, and it looks the part, right? It's a nice tactile switch, and it's also a silent one. It's not as loud as most of the switches out there. Then we've got this guy. This is a Gateron silver. It's known as a speed switch. The actuation point is a lot earlier, but you'll also notice that it has this boxed enclosure. That means that it has less wobble, but it also prevents dust from getting inside. And if you thought that was a fancy feature, check this one out. This is a Gateron Smoothie. It is a nice smooth switch, but it's also a switch that has this translucent plastic in the middle there, and that actually makes the LED shine just a little bit brighter. But out of all the switches that I own, this is by far the most unique switch in the sense that it's completely over-engineered. This switch actually has ball bearings inside of it. The ball bearings make it more smooth to press. You also need less lubricant. But the unique use case I found for this particular switch is also related to this other thing you can do with keyboards, namely, you can also apply these tilting kits, and if you're interested in doing that, then this switch might have a specific use case for you. And that deserves a little bit of explanation, which is what I want to do in this video. This whole thing started a few months ago when I started to buy some of these things as part of the hobby. This is a keyboard tilting kit, so to say. You put these on the switch and on the keycap, and these come in different shapes and sizes, which also means that you can apply different angles and different heights on different parts of the keyboard. To be clear, I bought my first pack with my own money, but this one got sent to me for review. The owner of the company has no influence on the direction of this video, but they did give me more tilts, which did allow me to do more things to some more boards, which I want to show you. Now, first off, you might wonder, why would you want to apply a tilting kit like this? And the answer to that question is related to boards like this. This is the Glove 80. It's a really cool board, and you can see that there's this little canyon that your hand can just fall into. And I will say it really gives you a comfortable typing experience. Your hand really nicely just falls in, and this has a lot of ergonomic benefits. Now, the whole point with a tilting kit is that you can kind of get the same effect, but on a board that's flat. The main benefit of this is that you kind of get this curved shape without having to invest in a new board. Right off the bat, I do want to mention if you go down this route, it's definitely something that could be fun if you're a hobbyist, but it's not necessarily a fair comparison. A flat board, even when it has tilts like this, simply won't compare to an actual curved keywell. That said, there is still some merit to this idea. So this middle row over here, that's the resting position row. That's the home, you could say, for your fingers. And you'll notice that if I were to maybe try and press the back key over here, just look at the amount of distance that my finger would have to travel. It goes up and then, oh, it's already there. If we now contrast that to a flat board, if my finger again is on this home row over here, if I want to press the key over there, you're noticing that my finger has to arch. So just that alone, the fact that it has to travel more, that is already a big difference compared to a flat board and one that has this quote-unquote fake keywell. If you go down this route, there is a learning curve though. After all the keycaps are in different places. But there is also a very noticeable downside that I do want to mention explicitly. And to show that, let me just install a few of these. So there we go. I installed a couple of different switches, and you'll notice that they have this keyboard extension. Now, notice what happens if I were to try and press this key over here, and it's maybe easier to show from this side. If I were to press down here, you're going to notice just how much it actually bends with. There's a whole lot of wobble here. Compare that to a normal key. I can press on the side and you can barely see it move, but compared to this, you can really see it move in all directions. And when you take a look at this switch, you hopefully also can see why. Basically, the stem has a much longer arm, and therefore if you apply force at the top, you are going to bend it more, at least compared to a normal keycap height. So that's an immediate downside. You might be able to get some more height from a key switch, but you do have this wobble that you're going to have to deal with. One thing you could do is you could get a box switch. Again, the box switch doesn't just prevent dust from entering the chamber here, you also have more space to hold on to the switch, and that should lead to less wobble. And you can see that too. You can see I can press around here, but then I take the box switch, and you can see it's a whole lot more sturdy. There's different box switches that you could try. This one is sturdier still, but there is a big warning. Not every box switch is going to work. And just to demonstrate that, this is the Gateron speed switch that I mentioned earlier in the video. Look what happens if I press it. It stays there. The tolerances on these switches can be incredibly tight, and this is one such example, so I can't recommend that you go out and buy any box switch if you're interested in applying this keycap tilting kit. I'll give you a list of switches that I've confirmed do work, it's in the show notes, but I can't recommend you assume every box switch is going to work. But out of all the box switches that I tried, and again, that's also why I specifically bought this WS Pearl switch, I figured, hey, if I have a switch with ball bearings, that should really reduce the wobble the most, right? And the answer to that question seems, yeah, kinda. If I were to really move this guy around, I'm able to wobble it somewhat, and it's much better than what I can do with this switch over here. But I gotta say, there's also some other switches that get in the ballpark pretty closely. But if you want to have a very smooth linear typing experience and you want to have as little wobble as possible, there are switches with ball bearings, and you can use them for these tilting kits if you want. These tilting kits in general are fun to play with, but I do recommend them mainly for the true hobbyist. If you're actually going to start typing on them, I do think it's safe to say that it is an acquired taste, and if you're a true hobbyist, that's going to be fine. But for the average user, it does feel like a bit of overkill, especially because you also have these switches to consider. But yeah, that's the story behind these switches, at least for me. I was looking for the switch that has the most stability for these tilting kits, and for that, the WS Pearl is a good choice. Another alternative would be the Akko Black. I've added links in the show notes for both.